Hey, what's up guys? My name is Cherno and welcome back to my C++ series. Got a bit of a different set today. Hope you guys like it. Today we're going to be talking all about what the this keyword is in C++. The this. That's kind of hard to say. So we have a keyword in C++ called this, which is only accessible to us through a member function. A member function meaning a function that belongs to a class, so a method. And inside a method we can reference this. And what this is a pointer to the current object instance that the method belongs to. So of course in C++ we can write a method, a non-static method. And in order to call that method, we need to first instantiate an object and then call the method. So the method has to be called with a valid object. And the this keyword is a pointer to that object. This is actually very important to how methods work in general. I'm going to be doing an in-depth video soon, link will be up there, about how objects and classes actually work kind of internally. But today we're just going to cover what this means and how we can use it and why it even exists. So over here in our code, I'm going to make a class called entity. I'll give it a couple of public fields here, x and y, and then maybe a constructor, which also takes in x and y. Now immediately you can probably see that what I want to do is assign these fields, these member variables, with the values of these parameters. Of course, I could use an initializer list and just do this, and that would be totally fine, that would work. However, if I didn't want to do that and I wanted to actually do it in the body, I would be faced with a little bit of a problem because, as you can probably notice, they have exactly the same name. So if I try and do x equals x, I'm actually just assigning this x variable, the parameter, with its own value, which is just doing absolutely nothing. What I really want to do is reference the x and y that belongs to the class, the actual class members. And that's what the this keyword actually allows me to do. So as I mentioned, the keyword is basically a pointer to the current instance. So to make this a little bit more clear, I'm just going to write it out here. Entity pointer, I'll just call it E and I'll assign it to this. That is the type of this. Technically, if you hover your mouse over it, you'll see that it's actually an entity pointer const. So you could set it to that if you want to, however, most people don't. Most people just assign it to an entity pointer because what const means on the right-hand side of this is that we're not allowed to reassign this to something else. So we couldn't write this equals null pointer, for example, or attempt to actually assign this to a reference here that is non-const. In this sense, we would actually have to declare this as const like that. If you want more details on how const works and what const means in that context, I've made a video on that which you can access by clicking the card up there. So anyway, back to this. See what I did there? If we now want to actually assign x, we can just do e arrow x and just assign x. Or of course, to make this a little bit more simple, we can just do this arrow x equals x. This is a pointer, of course, so we need to dereference it. That's why we need to use the arrow. Alternatively, we could write code like this, but of course it looks a lot cleaner with the arrow, so most people just do that. And with y, I would do the same. So now we actually have a way of assigning these two variables, which is very important because we couldn't have done it otherwise. If we were to write a function which returns one of these variables, for example, it's pretty common for us to mark it as const because it's not going to be modifying this class. So in a const function, this isn't actually equal to just an entity, it's actually equal to a const entity because of course putting const here means that we're not allowed to modify the class. So this has to be const so that we can't get away with doing stuff like this, which would have been possible if we didn't do that. So in summary, in a const function, the actual type that you'll get, if you hover your mouse over here, you'll see it's going to be a const entity pointer const, or just a const entity pointer. That's really the part that we care about. And then if you access it inside a non-const function, it's just going to be an entity pointer. Another useful case for this is if we maybe wanted to call a function that was outside of this entity class. So it wasn't a method, but we wanted to call a function outside this class from within this class that took entity as a parameter. So as an example, maybe we had a print entity function, and because of the declaration order here, I'm actually going to have to declare this up here and then define it over here. So we have a function that might do some cool printing kind of stuff, and we want to be able to call print entity from inside this class. So maybe like this. I want to pass in the current instance of this entity class into this function. How do I do that? That's where this comes in. I can just pass in this, and that's going to, of course, pass in the current instance with the x and y that I've got set here. If I wanted to take this in as a const reference, all I would have to do here is actually just dereference it. And there we go. So of course, with dereferencing this, in the case of a non-const method, we would just get an entity reference back. like so, and in a const method, we would get a const reference back, like so. Because this is a pointer to the current class, we can also do some pretty bizarre things, such as call delete this. I've seen this code a handful of times in very, very specialized cases. My recommendation would be, of course, to avoid doing this because you're freeing memory from a member function. And if you decide to ever access any member data after you call delete this, you're going to explode because the memory's been freed. So don't typically write code like this. Just make, this is C++. There's kind of there's a place for pretty much everything, but don't. But maybe, no, don't. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I've actually upgraded the audio a bit. A few of you guys were complaining about echoing in rooms and stuff, so I'm using a different microphone now. Hopefully it sounds better. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you want to support this series and basically help episodes come out quicker and be high quality and all that, you can go over to patreon.com/thecherno. You'll get some pretty cool rewards, such as getting episodes early and being able to talk privately in a cool kind of Patreon-only Discord chat and all that fun stuff. So definitely check that out because it does help support the series and it helps me make way more videos. I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.